Welcome back to Mind of 16, and I'm back with Alex. We had a one episode only where we didn't quite get together, but Alex, you're back.
Yes, we're back with a vengeance. I mean, we've never been anywhere. It's just haven't had time for a little record, right? I mean, even today we're doing remotely because it's just, I guess, it's easier time-wise.
It absolutely is, yeah. It just means you can get everything done sort of like as much as possible, crammed into as short a time as possible. The luxury of sitting in a car for an hour and a half each way, going for a pub lunch. I felt like saying to you today when we were going to do this remote, but where's my lunch? You at least got to sort of Uber me a lunch down or something.
Yeah. Sorry about that. No, I aged about 10 years just in the last 2 weeks.
So let's have a little. I mean, you've been releasing a lot of it. I've kept pace with kind of roughly what I wanted to do and following the pattern that I wanted.
Sure.
And yeah, we all know that it's now called Techtober. There's just a lot coming out. And going into it, I know we're kind of starting a little bit arse about face because this is more content creation, but I think it's interesting. Going into it, say in the build up from July, August, did you have a clear plan of what videos you were going to make about the devices that were coming out? For instance, obviously the big one has been iPhone 15, which we're going to talk about properly.
Yeah.
In a moment. Did you have a content plan worked out? So how close did you manage to stick to that plan?
I think I stuck to the plan mostly. I mean, there were some big ticket items, right, that I knew, for example, the Apple event video. So that video, I knew I was going to do it even from last year because, I figured out a little, bit of a secret of the trade there. That I know that sort of video works well on the event if I release it on that day, a few hours before the event. And it, lo and behold, that's currently my highest performing video last month. So, but there are a few of those that I had definitely planned. I had sponsors lined up. But things, as you know, right, so volatile with YouTube because, of course, especially when you get sponsors in the mix, you're relying on them, making sure that the video is okay, that they're all right with, they're fact checking your what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that sometimes happens quickly, depending on the sponsor, but sometimes it can take 2-3 days. And I found myself, I think, twice last month with sponsors just delaying approvals. And, I think in one video, I had to, stay up. I was recording A-roll at 1 a.m. on a Saturday.
Right.
And I edited, and I think I finished the edit at 5 a.m.
Had they demanded a release time for the video?
No, they but they know, right? They're actually a tech sponsor as well. So then it's not like it was just bad admin on their side, really. Frustrating, right? Because I have to prioritize my video, and I have to say to them, look, I'm sorry, but I'm leaving money on the table. I'm aware of that, but I'm not waiting for you. I'm releasing this video. I'm just going to remove your ad. So I released 2 videos with no ads. It's like, just for people listening, what that means really at my size, which is, I'm not a big channel at all. But this time of the year, is when you it's go time, right? So there's no messing around. So in those 2 videos, I lost $5,000 by not releasing them with sponsors.
And but, would that
my priority was
getting the video out on time. Yeah. But because you're not going to make that money up out of AdSense.
No. But those videos did well. They weren't exactly bangers, but they were really well. People subscribed on them. They had a few hundred subscribers. I had a few days in September where I was getting 300 subs a day. It's really, really strong. But I couldn't wait for a sponsor. And even the one that did really well on the Apple event one, the sponsor actually said to me, Can you not release it today? Because the cases weren't, because you're showing the action button, and the action button was a bit of an NDA thing. It's like, well, no, I'm releasing today. If you want, I can remove the action button from the video, which I did. But I'm not waiting, because the whole point of that specific video is that you kind of because everyone is all the big hitters are in Cupertino on that day. they're not going to release a video on that day. They will do stuff like later. But before the event, when search is at the peak, right? People searching for the iPhone. You don't want to mess around on that day.
Just jumping story slightly, it made me smile that I think it was about 15 minutes before the Google event started this week, Marquez's video popped up. I mean, he must have just been sitting there like, schedule, upload, no, it's done. He was sitting there in the crowd in New York. But of course, the luxury of having embargoes and being able to schedule it that far in advance, it just made me smile that he timed it so close to the event. You just had time to watch his video before the event went live. So, I mean, with bringing sponsors in to play for this sort of time of year, that obviously is a real added nuance for you to try and balance. You can have all the A-roll shot, you can have all the editing done, and then you're sending off approval. And then, as you said, at the end, you just have to put your foot down and say, no, I'm going without you. Can't wait any longer.
Yeah, and it's, if I was a massive operation, right, like these guys who get the phone in advance, I'd probably have another 2-3 videos, waiting to go. That's not, as you know, right? Every week I'm working on that video for that week.
It's hand to mouth.
I can't, sometimes, for like right now I'm working on 2-3 videos because it's busy, but most of the time you've got that one video, right? And if that video is not going, then you've got no plan B. There's just no time.
Well, you and I haven't actually
get that.
Most of the time in between podcasts, Alex and I are pretty good at staying in touch. We chat, we message, we Telegram and stuff. This time, because it's running balls to the wall, we've hardly spoken, I don't think. So I haven't even mentioned this to you. But I had my first sponsor that was going to run this week. And it was all done. It was all ready. And then they just ghosted it at the last moment. It was. I'll tell you who. I won't say the brand, but it was a water company, a big water company.
Right.
And for a channel my size, they were offering fair money, and it was really simple. All they wanted, they sent me 3 videos. They just wanted, they said the only stipulation is it goes in within the first 60 seconds. So I thought, right, do the hook, drop the video in, job's a good one. There's no read. We agreed money, we agreed everything about it, and then they suddenly just went quiet. I've got no idea.
Are they in China by any chance?
No.
Because it's this week in China, they're completely off.
I don't think so.
That's what I was wondering.
The company behind it was a Czech agency. Czech agency. I'll tell you off who it is, but because you might have dealt with them.
It's going to be Media Cube, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
I can't remember the brand for the life of me. Honestly, I know. I can't remember the actual name of because what I did on Sunday morning, I got it through early. It came in overnight, which did make me think China. And then I kind of looked at the extension on the email address, went to search the company and found out, they're a bona fide company. And then they've branched out and they've got a media branch. They represent brands, and clearly this brand of water must be one. And then I was passed over to the actual client themselves, and they were emailing me. Then they sent me a zip file with all the videos in, and that was it. We got to the contracts, and I was like, yes, I've got my first sponsor video.
I'm really worried now that you've got a virus of some sort. Because is it a CZ domain?
Yes.
Yeah, just be careful.
Okay, well, one good thing then, the file they wanted me to open didn't open.
I'm really worried because they're renowned for being scammers, and whenever I see a CZ email I just delete straight away. So,
okay, so I should pursue that no further then.
Yeah, I'd be very careful.
Okay.
And also check your systems.
We'll speak at the end. You can tell me what I should be looking at to check.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, and for people listening, right, this is some of the stuff that we have to deal with. We get so many emails every day. Some of them are legit. A lot of them will be just people trying to take advantage, really.
I mean, that one, I didn't jump through hoops because I've seen so many rubbish ones. I thought, okay, take a bit of time. And I searched them and everything panned out from what I could tell.
It might be okay. But it's...
I haven't noticed anything odd on my system, and there's still a couple of quid in the bank. So... watch out. And I'm sort of 2FA on everything, but okay, you got me concerned now. We'll talk at the end. We'll come back to that at the end.
Yes, we'll be right back.
So back to iPhone 15 then. So you and I both got ours on release day.
Yeah.
And
did you get it via online, or did you go to the shop?
I got it delivered to my door. I know you went to an Apple store, didn't you? Which one did you go to?
The one in Bristol, which is fairly new. I mean, they have a couple there. I went to a smaller one, which is it's quite nice experience. Actually, I made a video about the experience, which of course we've been locked down and whatnot, and just being comfortable online, with online. It was nice to experience that again, and go back to shop and see, the buzz about being in a store. It was a nice experience, just being around people who were clearly, I was just treating it as a review, really, right? I wasn't really focusing too much on the act of buying a phone. But of course, 9 times out of 10 people are there to, excited because they just got the new iPhone, and there was queues at the door, and, the Apple store was buzzing. It was nice, yeah.
And of course, I know you met up with a couple of people there that you were talking to, weren't you, in the queue, and I think you featured in one of your videos.
Yeah, when I was setting up the iPhone, and they were asking me about, because I had both my S23 Ultra and the Fold 5 as well with me, and they were ever so nice, asking about those phones. And there were students from China studying in Bristol, and they were telling me about the different phones that they get there as well that we never hear about. Just quite interesting.
So you got the phone back, and I mean, if we do kind of first impressions, I know it's going back a couple of weeks now, and there's been many late nights in between, but what was your first take when you got the phone out? Did you get the Pro or Pro Max?
Pro Max, yeah.
Right, so we got exactly the same phone. Yeah.
So it's on a case right now, but I didn't choose the white. That was the only one I could get.
Oh, we've got exactly the same phone. Then that's it.
Oh, was that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the the white exactly.
Oh yeah. I actually quite like it. Yeah,
I do.
I never go for a white. I usually think I used to go for the gold ones back from the 11 to 12, and then went for the bluish one on the 13, and then the purple one last year. But yeah, I my first impression was how lighter it feels and more comfortable.
Yeah.
Of course, when you put it in a case, it's just the same thing, right? And the video is just, I've been absolutely really impressed with PreoRes in particular.
You obviously hooked the SD up to it then, the SSD,
yeah. I found a few issues though with that. Not all SSDs are created equal. Now I've included that in my video as well recently, that 4K 30 will probably be okay for most cheap SSDs, like those Samsung ones, the T5, T7s. But if you want to record 4K 60, like log and whatnot, 4K 60, it will struggle. So I ruined a lot of about 30 clips. It was good because I can share the information in the video and make sure that people are aware of that. But just be careful with that as well.
I actually did research beforehand, and I bought a T7 for that purpose. I haven't recorded 60, but I have recorded log 24.
Yeah, be careful with 60 then, because in my tests, the T7 failed. I mean, you get sometimes very smooth, and then you get those massive stutters. There's like unusable footage. If you're planning on taking it on a holiday or filming a wedding or whatever it is, right? I am gonna do some really proper cinematic color, whatever. It could ruin your day really. So be careful with that. 4K 60.
While we're talking about the SSD and transfer, because obviously running up to the event, everyone was saying that we're going to get Thunderbolt. And we're going to, we wanted Thunderbolt 4 and we weren't sure. And of course, we knew we didn't get it. I think what they've done, certainly for 24K and 2430 in log, the transfer is so quick, much, much quicker than it would have been through a Thunderbolt connection. Having it on that SSD and transferring, I think it's at 10 gigs per second.
On the Pros, it's 10 gig, yeah.
Yeah. The first full video I did, so my main video for that week, I recorded in log on the iPhone straight to SSD, and it was an 80 gig file. Transferred over to the Mac probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Awesome speeds.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm used to that because I use fast cards and Thunderbolt drives and whatever. But to have that on the iPhone is I wish you could do directly from copy directly from the phone to the Mac. You can't do that, I don't think, anyway.
No, it doesn't touch the phone at all, does it?
It has to go to SSD and then to the Mac, which is annoying. But
I mean, again, I wasn't, because when they showed it at the event, it looked like it was going to be straightforward. Of course, it's not until you get it in your hands and you see it, but it is so straightforward. I thought it might be some sort of preferences you have to tick, but there's nothing.
Oh yeah, that was super nice. Yeah, plug and play. Yeah, absolutely.
Off onto the Mac. It suddenly made it felt like it was a reasonable workflow. In fact, so much so that I've now bought a proper cage for the phone, so it's got some cold tube mounts on it. And I just today bought an Anker, not sponsored sadly, an Anker hub that's got loads of different ports in it, so I can plug the SSD into one of the ports, I can plug power into one of the ports. So it's even got an Ethernet connection on it, so I can even put the phone through the Ethernet as well. It'll make it a complete unit in and of itself. I mean, the video that I shot on it, I was really impressed with how, for our kind of work, talking head, A-roll shots, it looked very, very good, under good lighting, of course.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what to do once you've put it in the edit, because the way I use log is it's fairly easy, right? You come in the edit, you don't see any changes, but because it's an iPhone and Final Cut Pro, of course, just recognizes it comes from an iPhone. It tries to add Apple's own log, and there's a setting you can turn off, and so that it doesn't do that. Because once it does that, it's like, okay, it just looks like any iPhone footage. It doesn't look special. But when it gets log and you add your own LUTs and things like that, that's what I need a bit more time to really test out. But first impression is like, okay, this is amazing. I mean, and you can get log PreoRes LT as well, which is 422 LT if you use the Blackmagic app or whatever. That's another amazing find as well recently, right? There's that app. It's a free app.
Yeah, everyone's talking about that at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I just used it just before joining you, because I was recording it before my Brazilian channel, and it's like, I'll use this setting. Yeah, it's awesome.
And I actually, again, when I was scouting around, I did buy some LUTs from Tyler Stallman. I mean, somebody that we probably all watched, and he created some a pack that I bought, and they pretty really were. Basically, the first LUT or the first correction you put on is PreoRes to Rec 709. You add that, and then onto another adjustment layer, he's given you some various LUTs that have got different film emulations on. I found that you have to be very gentle with them, literally 10, 15, max 20%. Otherwise, they start looking really, I don't know, just too over the top. Yeah. But they worked really well. Because I thought in Final Cut there was a correction for it, but from what you're saying, it's not particularly good.
It just does. It does do the PreoRes to Rec 409, and that's and then he applies some sort of Apple-owned LUT. But it looks very much like the 14 Pro Max 4K footage. It doesn't add anything special. And the whole point of log is you make your own, right?
Yeah. So, of course, where we begin to differ is, I know a lot of your videos have been comparing it up against the dear old S23.
Yeah.
And
that's my main phone, right? So I think
of course, it made sense. And I know you're a massive lover of that phone and the quality of it. Does it shoot PreoRes? It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It
shoots 8K, but not PreoRes.
If you install a third-party app, you can not PreoRes. You can somehow, in a workaround way, get log footage out of it.
Right.
It will do, of course, it'll do 8K 30, not 60, but it'll do 8K 30. But yeah, you won't record. There's no raw video on the S23 Ultra natively anyway. You have to install an app for that. And
you don't record directly to the SSD on the Samsung, because when we've spoken, it goes.
I don't think you can.
No, so it goes through your cloud, doesn't it?
Tried.
You put it into Google Photos and get it back from there.
Yeah.
And so, how are you feeling that the two cameras are comparing now? Then.
So I actually did a compare. I did 2 rounds of comparison, round 1 and round 2, because it's just so much, right, to cover. In round 2, I included a lot of camera comparison. I found 2 main differences, right? So point and shoot, I mean, it's flip a coin, really. Both are incredible. Very, very small differences. Where I've seen differences is in both are inconsistent in this, right? Is where, right, I try to take a photo or a video of something that's really close, like macro shots, or is something that's too far. And you try to use the zoom. So in those scenarios, focus struggles. So Samsung really struggles with reflective stuff, in my experience, right? If you're doing something that's got glasses on it or, some sort of reflection on it, it struggles to focus. Whereas Apple struggles to focus with something that's like, 20 meters out and stay on focus, right? Because you can focus, and then when you move, you lose focus. Other than and low lighting. So low lighting, it seems to vary a lot on the lens that you're using and the mode. So video in low lighting, I think I prefer the footage on the iPhone, because it's just so good. You're getting a lot more detail on it. The only problem is if it's got lights on it, you get some annoying reflections on it. With the Samsung, doesn't give you reflections, but it is not as good quality. You get a lot of grain in there. Slow-mo footage as well in low light. The iPhone is better, I found. But those are the differences. Everything else seems to be really, almost like I said, flip a coin.
Yeah, so it does very much now begin to, well, even more, come down to personal choice, doesn't it? Whether you enjoy the Android life or enjoy the iPhone and Apple life, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of always been the case that Apple, especially the iPhone, has the Pro range has been, the best at video for any sort of video. And that's been the case. Even, in my reviews, if you look at the 13 reviews, the 14 reviews, I always found video better on the iPhone. It was only the S23 Ultra that I thought, for the first time, in my opinion, got to a point where, okay, this is as good as, and in some situation, better than the 14 Pro Max. Now with the 15, there are situations where I prefer the 15 again. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when the S24 Ultra come out. I think that comes out in 3 months.
That's January, isn't it? I thought I'd say this is my first year of following all the
releases. Yeah.
And we're
I saw you got Pixel as well, right?
Yeah. I bought that. So
I haven't got that yet.
I saw your tweet saying, I'm fighting temptation. Because of course, if you regulars on the Minus 16 podcast, you'll know that I nicked, borrowed, and begged Alex and took his Pixel Pro 7 during the summer.
Yeah.
And had a great time with it. And that was the first Android that I'd actually used and had a great experience with it, really fantastic experience with it. And obviously not having used the Samsung S23, that's the only other flagship. There's those top three, really, aren't they? They're the top flight phones. And so this year when the event was coming along, okay, I've just spunked up £1,000 on the iPhone, but I thought, oh, right, okay. I know that
your Flip, by the way. Your Flip is here, collecting dust.
That's the one phone that just didn't do anything for, and it's just died a death, hasn't it? I mean, no creators are talking about it now. No creators. The Fold, yes. Clearly the S23, yes. But the Flip, I was actually out at a coffee shop recently, and I saw a girl of about 13 using it, and I actually thought, there you go, Samsung Flip. But of course, that was a demographic kind of thing. I know if Daniel was here now, he'd be telling us we're wrong. But that's the one phone that just didn't, I don't know, for whatever reason, do anything for me. But so just bought the iPhone, which is still my daily one. But I was watching the event, and I didn't know what to expect from the Google event. So it was really interesting. I wrote a story about it yesterday, I think. They're very different events, but I kind of like what Google do.
I didn't even watch the event.
Oh, didn't you?
I've been quite good because I'm already behind on stuff, right? And I'm like, I haven't reviewed the Tab S9 Ultra, which I'm dying to share with people what I found. So buying another device would just give me more anxiety because I have no time.
Well, the videos I've done on that have been some of my best performing videos. So I thought, well, I'll definitely buy it. I enjoyed it for starters. And then I watched the event, and they are different. They're not as polished. They're not as almost stuffy as Apple events have become recently. Yeah. But they kept it to a very tight hour. And they pretty much, I felt there was no major self-congratulatory kind of patting ourselves on the back about what we've done and the whole Mother Nature skit. It was more or less detail. We're going to, that bloody Mother Nature. I still can't forgive them for that. But they seem to focus on what we wanted to know. What the benefits, what the new tech was, what we were getting. And then it came to the phone. And clearly for me, the biggest difference in the direction that Apple and Google are going is with AI. Now, yes, there is clearly AI on the iPhone. Yes, we know that's a given. But it's a whole nother level with Google. I mean, you've got that voice assistant that now answers calls, and it's freaky, scarily good. I mean, it sounds almost like you've got a PA. They
are. I mean, I think since this Pixel 6 Pro, which is what really impressed me about Pixels, I mean, that was the first phone that I thought, okay, this can actually be an assistant. And that was mainly just speech to text, translation. I thought, oh my God, this is not normal. I've seen this before. I was Siri and other assistants, but what Google were doing, even on the 6 Pro, was already incredible. So, I'm actually looking forward to try. I will probably, when the dust settles a little bit in December, maybe January, like I did last year.
Yeah, well, maybe you said
probably
get
the 8 Pro.
Yeah.
So, I think that, Google are amazing at that. And I think, Apple, even though they haven't, boasted about it, it did impress me. When you see it in action, I've been there a lot of camera comparisons, right? When you see cinematic mode, I think it is, and how quickly it detects faces and things. And I was like, okay, that's AI, right? Doing that in real time. And I thought that was really clever. And it's one of those things that you get a kick out of it, not realizing what is happening.
Yeah,
when you think about it, it's like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of processing going on here.
This thing where it answers calls for any unrecognized number that's not on your phone, it will jump in and answer for you and filter, basically, acting like a PA, saying, what's the call about, and deciding whether to let you pick up and go through with it. I mean, it's again, sort of mind-blowing stuff we're looking at. Speech to text, I think, is even better. But of course, the big one was the magic video, wasn't it? That this boost, which is, well, it's raised a bit of a debate. I don't know how much you've caught up with it. It's this whole, Google's line, in actual fact, was we're not selling photos, we're selling memories. They're not concerned that a lot of the photos you're going to end up with never, ever existed. And I don't know where you've seen this whole face replace thing, haven't you?
Yeah. I quite like it. I think that's great.
I think I like it, but of course, it never happened. Which is,
but I remember this is going back, I don't know, 15 years probably. Working with my father-in-law when he had a Mac, and he's taking these amazing photos for our wedding, and there are photos of friends that he probably thinking, I'm never going to see this person again or whatever. It's got a bit of depressing, right? But he wanted a photo of this person, with their eyes open. And I remember using Photoshop and getting other photos of that person, trying to kind of match the eyes and all that. I was like, people want that, I think.
Yeah, I think the debate it started this week is now it's taking it from being very much a professional thing where you have to know a reasonable amount about Photoshop to be able to make those edits to now being able to do it on device with just your finger, drag, drop, and you've just created a photo. I kind of think, I think I like it. I can see the ethical point. It's kind of like, okay, they have got complete control now. At what point does it stop? How far is that going to go? And I get that. And I get that you're looking at a digital photo that never existed.
But if the person was there, right, I think I might not feel the same if you're putting someone who wasn't there in the photo. And then it's like, okay, that feels a little bit weird. But if the photo was taken with that person there and they just happened to be not, frowning or making a silly face or whatever, especially with kids, right? Kids, how many times you have to, go back at the photo, oh gosh, that was a waste of time because the kid wasn't smiling or they were being goofy. So I think it could be useful.
Well, that's one of the ones I'm looking forward to playing with for sure. The other one is smartphones are going through this thing at the moment of releasing the hardware and saying software to follow. Apple there was something that we're getting later on the Pros.
Oh, the games, right? The AAA games.
Yeah. And it was the same with Google. Their big thing is where this, again, off device, you take a video, it goes through to the Google servers and it comes back with this HDR version of it that's had everything done to it. Skin's been changed to what it seems to think is the correct color, skies have been balanced out. It sounds amazing, but firstly, I don't know how long it's going to take, because if you've got a video 10 minutes long, that although we think that everyone's got quick internet, most people haven't. It's going to take forever to get a longish video up to their servers. But again, they're clearly going the route now of doing a lot of their stuff off device, which is a clear departure from Apple. Apple's everything about privacy on device, it's yours. Google, you're trusting the servers out in the wide world, aren't you?
Yeah, I think, it's kind of hard to stop that now, right? You can protect yourself a little bit, but ultimately, to exist in today's world, you've got to have some footprints online, and I think as long as we kind of can trust what they do with our data, then it's fine, right? But there are definitely some valid concerns where we see data being used, by or being stolen as well. Sometimes it's people get breached all the time, and
as I may have been.
I gotta check that out.
Still nagging at the back of my mind. Well, I thought I'd been so clever. I thought, anyway, that's not for now. That's not for us to talk about now. No. And then, we're going to be getting back to Google in just a moment, but my Pixel arrives this coming Thursday, I think, which kind of leaves me in a quandary, but I think I've answered it. Do I wait the week to make a video until the phone arrives and then put a video out late next week? Or But I don't think, I've learned this year not to rush. For a channel my size, there is no benefit at all in trying to rush.
I didn't even do an unboxing of my iPhone. I skipped the whole unboxing, first impressions. I didn't do any of that. I just, what can I do that's useful? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think there's more benefit to those kind of videos. So no, I'm going to, I think funnily enough, any content I make, unless it's about the studio display to do with Apple, tanks. People do not want to watch me talking about Apple. They want to read me writing about Apple, but they don't want to watch me talking about it. It's really weird. It's such an obvious, clear line. On my blogs, I hardly write about anything but Apple. And Medium now has started to fly. It's flying. I mean, really flying.
Oh, good.
Seriously good. I mean, you know, I've got almost as many followers on Medium as I've got on YouTube. I mean, it's just suddenly taken off and it's paying well again. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know how long that halcyon period will last. But at the moment, happy days. I'm prioritising writing at the moment. And that's virtually all about Apple. But I put anything up about iPhone. Like, nope. We don't want to watch it.
Is there a crossover there that you can? I mean, I'm sure you put links to your videos, right, on the articles. Do you see any bleeding from?
No. It's just dead wall. Absolutely. Because the video I did on the iPhone this year, again, I didn't rush. It wasn't released or anything. I spent a week with it. I went out for the weekend with it. I tried to put in honest thoughts. And the kind of videos people seem to like me making, when I don't try to do the whole hoopla and shouting, and you know, it's dry, measured, act my age and talk fact. And on Android, that works pretty well most of the time. But Apple, it's weird. I just cannot get a view on anything iPhone. So the phone will pay for itself on Medium, and I think the Google will pay for itself on YouTube. That's the way it seems to be going.
Yeah, I've got a slight problem. I think with me, the accessories videos, they have really good potential to be good revenue generators. But accessories videos on my channel, I don't know what it is, but people just, they watch it they don't watch it for long enough, basically. And yeah, I don't know. It's annoying because I like those videos.
It's odd, isn't it? People get to I'm not saying, I'm not criticising at all, but it's very fickle. They know what they want from you. They know what they want you to be talking about, and if you're not talking about that, they're not interested. They'll click and they make their thoughts known very, very quickly indeed.
I don't know. It might not be that, right? It might be YouTube.
Our friend.
You never know, right? It's one of those things that I always question. If you really, I don't think it can't be people wanting something because I think people, they sign up to you because they like you, right? Ultimately. Yeah. They make a connection with you.
It was certainly partly Apple because I didn't get many impressions on it. And it was out within the kind of the right time frame. It was in the first week. It was still very high on search. Google Trends still, it was showing, it's clearly it's going to be high for a while, the iPhone 15. So I don't know. But at least this year I went into it with low expectations and I certainly didn't get my expectations ruined. Let's just put it that way.
No, I mean, I had that 3 years ago with the 12 Pro Max. I couldn't, I did everything that I do today and I just got nothing. It was just one of those things like, I skipped the unboxing, I went straight into, I think I did it was a huge, it was meant to be a banger. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the video, but I think at that time, my channel just, because there's so much, competition at this time that unless you go completely like, not borderline clickbait, but proper clickbait, it's hard to get anything.
I sort of did an unboxing-ish. Well, no, I can't dress it up any way. It was on the day, but the thing is, I didn't make it pretty. It was in here, 5 minutes, top-down camera, and I said, look, apologies, and that got more views than the main video. And I just said, this is what's in the box. That was it. Just in case people were going to go out the weekend, I thought, this is what you get in the box. I didn't dress it up at all. I didn't do anything fancy at it. It was in shoot, basically top and tail up.
Yeah.
And so that, because I didn't want to make unboxings, I think are pretty much done now, but I just thought,
People watch them, but I just can't find the creative.
No.
There's also time, right? When you make an unboxing video, you're not making another video. So, I just, I include the unboxing footage in the video, just so people know that, yes, you'll be pleased to know the phone did come in a box.
Yeah. And talking about being a busy period, nothing. I don't know how much you've been following. They have just in the summer they announced this new brand CMF.
I saw you went to their new store as well, right?
Yeah,
the only store.
The only store. Don't go there if you're expecting care and attention. Is what I would say. I went as part of London Design Week, and they did have a really nice exhibit downstairs. And if you look at this week's video, you'll see I'll show you downstairs.
I did watch it. Yeah.
C5. It was really cool. They didn't. The people there could not have been less interested in talk. There was 4 people in the store. Not one of them, as bored as they clearly were, standing in the shop all day long with nobody to talk to, could be bothered. And they could see how the camera up. They could see I was clearly doing something.
I saw you got app and personal with the gizmos they had there. I don't know what it looked interesting to me. Yeah.
Exactly that, and there was questions I wanted to ask. The whole idea was with the exhibition downstairs that their team had put down items over the 80s and 90s that they'd taken style from, they'd taken design cues from. Really good idea, and you could see elements of where they were coming from. There was like a brawn naked shaver there, and you could see through it. You could see. And they weren't ashamed to say, look, these are where we've got our ideas from. And I wanted to talk to somebody. There was just nobody there. The store, it's a boutique. I mean, clearly they've only got 4 products. It's going to be a small store. That's fine. Yeah. But the staff were just bloody useless. They could not be less interested in talking to.
Permeates through every touch point, right? Because you said you had a bad experience as well with the...
Exactly. But onto the CMF, it's almost to the point they're too cheap. I haven't got them. I was away because they had them on sale last week in London, but I was away at a friend's last weekend in Wales. And the smartwatch is $60, which is how they can make a watch that money, I don't know. And they've released the charger, a 65-watt charger. They've released the smartwatch, and some new Buds Pro, which are $40. Yeah, I think the charger's $30, the Buds are $40, and the watch is $60. Crazy cheap, and it's almost too cheap. You think that can't be any good at that price, and you're almost going to walk away from it thinking. So it'd be interesting to get my hands on it.
I like the look of the watch. I mean, I haven't looked into a lot of stuff in there, but I have seen a few pictures of the watch. It's like, okay, this is actually quite good.
Yeah, it's got an OLED screen on it. It's quite a large screen. It's meant to have regional battery life. Yeah, and what I've seen and touched of nothing, I kind of like what they do. They've got a good energy behind them. They just need to let people. I've emailed their PR. Again, I know I'm small, but at least they're getting regular content out. I mean, they're just absolutely nothing back. Anyway, but the videos do generally do okay for me. And it was just interesting to see that they've released this. And I'm sure but if people watching or listening might not be up to date with it, the idea behind it is that it is very much a budget brand, and also they can move away from being naked, so they can use colours. You get this vibrant orange now, a grey and a black, so they can use colours. They're not clear and see-through, so it's a very different look that they've got going on. I mean, I like what they do. It's just the people around them not so hot. Oh, by the way, on the Pixel, of course, this is my first time of ordering a Pixel on release day. They were doing really good giveaways. I could have got a watch free there, but I went for the Buds because being a little bit more audio-ish, I went for the earbuds. So I've got those free. They're coming with the phone as well.
Nice.
In a matching colour, that sort of light blue colour that they've released this year.
That's probably the best colour. I mean, I do like the creamy one that they've got as well. Yeah.
Because you've got the greyish one, haven't you? Sort of like a...
Yeah, they regretted that. It was called almond or something. Was it a nut? Some sort of nut.
Might be no, it wasn't
hazelnut. Yeah, hazelnut. Yeah, I regret it. I don't like that color.
There was lots I loved about your phone. The one thing I didn't like was the glass back. It was too slippy. And apparently now it's a matte on the back. They've gone the same. Okay. So that could help because it was almost. We both said it was almost too slippy. It's going to fall. It's going to jump. It's going to slide off a desk. It's just an accident, an expensive accident waiting to happen.
I tell you what, that's been like that. It's the Apple phone case. I don't know if you've tried the woven.
I had this fine woven thing. No, there's so much talk about that. Did you buy one?
Awful. Yeah, I did. Yeah, on the day because it's stupid.
In store,
didn't have one on me in the store, but it was just not the safest one, and I don't think it'll protect your phone anyway because it's so thin.
Thin, isn't it? I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you drop it, I mean.
And apparently they don't feel premium either, do they? They feel pretty cheap.
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, they look really good. They're very photogenic. I mean, there's when I had a really good photo of it. The light catches it really well. But it feels very slippery and not very safe.
It ticks all their environmental boxes, of which before we begin talking about Google,
before I completely fall asleep. Yeah.
Don't say that. Those people are supposed to be interested.
Yes.
I was up at Apple Battersea last night.
Oh yeah. How was that?
really interesting. And, the nicest thing about it was, the event itself probably wasn't for me. It's a funny story. So how do I put this in the most delicate fashion? I wasn't the youngest person there.
Okay.
And so it was sort of 7 o'clock is when they told us to get there. So just before that, everyone was beginning to vaguely meander and gather around outside. And then suddenly this queue started to form. Much like iPhone Day, it was a big queue as well. It was snaking. It was there was a load more people than I thought. I thought you're going to be 20 people. No, there was a good few hundred people there for an evening event. So anyway, I'll go over and join this queue. And this lovely young lady, probably no older than my daughter, turns around and just goes, this is an event. It's like, yeah, I do.
That's why I'm here, yeah.
It's like I could not have felt more white, middle-aged and male if I tried to... Because it's all about diversity, and it was all to do with Black History Month. And it was just, later in the evening, we sort of crossed eyes, and she smiled at me, and I think she felt as awkward as I did in here. But actually, the one side we saw...
crazy,
yeah, I know. I did. I honestly, I don't often feel my age, whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know. But then I was like, boom, I was slapped right down to size.
Yeah.
But
that's actually, not cool.
But and it was very much like, Grandad, are you sure you shouldn't be home having your Horlicks? That kind of... The really good part of it last night was they did not make it a sales event at all. There wasn't a member of the sales team on the floor. Yes, the products were still out, they were there, but very much as the last customers were leaving the store, then it was transformed into like an evening event venue. They had DJs there, they had the decks out, and even the 3 people speaking, I swear one of them had an Android, but none of them mentioned Apple. It wasn't at all, we use a Mac to do that. It was just about the stories of how these Black creatives and Black founders had started their businesses and what their stories were. And it was a really interesting evening. The 3 speakers had some very interesting stories to tell. But the nicest thing was that it wasn't a sales pitch. It was never supposed to be a sales event, which
That's
I
cool.
think, that was the good side of Apple there, that they did the right thing. They said when they opened that store, it was about including the community and paying back the community. And they really did. The store has got certain design styles that very much lend itself to the old Battersea Power Station. And their whole ethos was clearly, even down to the food, it was catered for by a local Caribbean company. The wines reflected the regions they were talking about, sourced. Everything about it was very carefully thought out. And it was an enjoyable night, really well attended.
Nice.
So hopefully that's...
I want to go to that store. It looks quite nice.
It's lovely. Yeah, the whole thing, if you go there, one thing outside of Apple, there's this thing called Lift 109. I think it costs about £20 or something. You have to book in advance, but it takes you right to the very top of the towers at Battersea, and you can see 360 over London.
Oh, nice.
It sounds amazing. That is on my list. I'm going to be doing that one. So it's time to talk a little bit about Google, our paymasters.
Oh, yeah. The tubes.
So we've spoken about invalid traffic. Now, right at the top, before we begin talking about, and we've got a fair bit to talk about with this still, as we speak, Google are in court in the States on a big antitrust case. It is one of the largest cases going. They're up against the United States government and the Department of Justice. They are in pretty serious doo-doo. Clearly, they've got some good legal counsel. It's never going to be a clear-cut case, but there's a lot of ambiguity.
Right.
Google and trust. I thought I'd put that out there early on because that's not me with any rhetoric. They are in court right now on an antitrust case.
Jeez.
So then we come to this video that you sent me this morning to take a look at. Tom Buck, wasn't it? Who's an audio man. Watch him, like him.
Yeah, he shared the link to the video. Yeah, the video is by, I forgot his name, but I watched that guy's
Louis.
other videos about Bitcoin and whatever.
Yeah, he just sits on his sofa. 1.2 million followers and just sits on his sofa. I love it.
I love him. Yeah, he's great. He's this proper New Yorker, isn't it? And speaks very fast.
So I'll try and remember if I can. I'll try and put a link to it in the notes. But so yeah, I did watch it. But obviously, you've watched it as well. So explain what was going on with our dear antitrust Google.
Yeah. So I think this video is about 2 months old now. So it feels to me that right now, Google changed the way adverts are showing and whatnot. And I remember at the time when we were recording a podcast, I think for 2 weeks we mentioned this thing. And I remember saying, I don't believe in coincidences, right? I think they obviously made some changes and that's having a knock-on effect on creators. But, taking back to 2 months ago, what was going on then was advertisers, there's a report that you can actually go and find out, what was going on. advertisers were finding that their ads weren't being shown in the way that they paid, right? So they were showing on displays that were muted. So it's like, okay, what's the point of that, right? If you're watching an ad that's muted, you're definitely never going to convert on that.
Yep.
There was also some mistakes. There's like pages and pages of examples like that where the ads just weren't, performing. And at the same time, we were, I didn't get hit, but a lot of creators were getting hit by this invalid traffic. So yeah, when you watch the video, it's very easy to see now and connect the dots. I mean, and it makes sense why people like, the YouTube creators account on Twitter, even Renee, they weren't talking. Renee's our YouTube liaison, right? No one was actually talking about this at all, not responding to creators. Everything was kept very, very hush hush. But now it makes sense. When you watch that video, it's like, okay, now I can see why, right? They obviously made some mistakes and,
and
caused some problems there. And then we creators had to pay for
we
some
caught
of
the
it.
wave. Yeah, because it seems why it fits in so neatly with this antitrust thing from when I watched it this morning was that they were telling advertisers who are paying many thousands of Google ad dollars to appear complete myths about and they were able to get data to say their adverts had been given so many thousands impressions. But of course, what they weren't saying, they were on third-party sites, they were muted, they weren't getting what they paid for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people that have got the data to be able to measure that are Google.
Yeah, and even I think in that video, the guy says, right, that they've got two independent bodies that can get the data, but they're not able to get the data directly from Google, directly on the servers where the ads are served from. Google have to give them the data. So it's kind of, it's still, even though they're independent, they're not getting the data directly from the source. And it's just, it smells bad.
It does. I mean, I came into this thinking that YouTube, because they're the best platform for creators to make money on, and the early dealings I had very naively with Google or YouTube seemed like they were actually trying to cover your back. It seemed that, they were keeping you informed, they were giving you these massive amount of analytics. And I thought, you know what, maybe they are good, but as with anything that big, there's not nefarious, but there's certainly a less than open side that we all... And I maybe you might know the answer to this, I don't know. In fact, I didn't mean to message Patrick because he got hit with invalid traffic, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I don't think financially he said that he hasn't seen any major changes. But it's hard to know, I think, right? Because if the revenue stayed regular, maybe his revenue should have been higher, right?
Well,
I don't know.
This is it. I've had now 3 payouts, all small, but at least month on month getting slightly larger because obviously there's compound videos for people to watch now. You know the way it works. So it's beginning to tick. At least it's growing. But I'm thinking last month, I said my best month, it was still very low, but would that have been even better? And I don't know if the invalid traffic strike is still in place because you can't find out. There was a banner, as we all know, at the top of my studio one day.
People got it twice. Some people got it twice as well.
But when the banner doesn't show, does that mean it's stopped? Have I still got it?
I did read into that. The article that the support people keep sending people to read actually says how long that I think they said something like 5 months for things to normalize. So
so I could be earning a bit more.
Yeah, there are some. I mean, there was a post on Twitter which we'll definitely share on this podcast by a big creator who got. I think he was making. I think it's a UK creator as well.
I think he tagged me in the end. I don't know if you joined me in on it, but I think I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, kind of longish hair.
Yes. Yeah.
His case is a clear cut. I mean, you can see the monthly revenue 3 years the same, and then bam, it's like cut to nothing. Yeah. That's but people might be wondering, right? People listening, how does this impact me? How does that, the thing with advertisers not getting what they paid for. The way it impacts us is if advertisers are saying YouTube is no longer a viable place to advertise, then you're not going to get a lot of AdSense, and the knock-on effect might even be that sponsors might start thinking the same.
Yeah, of course.
Because if a sponsor has a budget and they said, okay, let's put 10 grand on some creators, and then another 10 grand on ads. If ads are not working, they might by association say, actually, let's just pull YouTube budget completely and use other, maybe Instagram or whatever.
Exactly, yeah, exactly that. Because they've got that ad spend, it's got to go somewhere. If they're now getting cold feet, the money they're giving to Google, they don't know if it's being used. Do apologise for the motorbike. It's very live, as you can tell. If they don't know where they're
here, to be honest.
Of course, you've got that workshop just downstairs, haven't you?
Yeah.
I'm saying that Mike's directional. You won't pick it up. But yeah, I mean, clearly companies are going to begin to question if they get cold feet now, thinking the tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars we're handing over, we don't know if it's being misappropriated and using in a way that we hadn't agreed to. Yeah. And it's very hard for them, even for big companies. And you look at some of the companies that have been on YouTube and giving money over in that video we watched this morning, they're big. Well, some of them are even government-based ones. Yeah. So YouTube are taking money from everybody and doing who knows what with it.
Yeah, and it's
all
been, like I said, it looks very nice. It looks very, kind of friendly, and you get these lovely messages saying, "Oh, how we help you," or whatever. And even on this subject, right? It's he made a big joke as well on that. It's like, we're telling you that you've been caught, and you're responding with something completely irrelevant. I think it's just.
I mean, the timing.
As a creator, we have to think about what do we do, to kind of protect ourselves, because we're putting a lot of effort, a lot of building communities on this platform. And of course, all of a sudden, something like that happens. It's like, okay, it makes us question, right? What do we do to protect what we build?
And it's all well and good, and I understand the advice. You get some larger creators saying you should never rely on AdSense. But I tell you what, when you're starting out and you're small, it is the only chance you've got of money. You've got to cross a certain threshold. As you all know, you've been there, and I'm going through it at the moment. The only money I'm going to make for the time being is AdSense. Yes, the sponsors will come in time. The better days will come in time. But I have to, it's the starting block. So any money I'm going to earn needs to come from AdSense. And if I'm being penalised, as small as I am, and as tiny as my payouts are, it hurts. Because probably I could have been earning maybe double what I got last month. Who knows? Yeah.
It's not as transparent as it should be. When there's a lot of stats in there in analytics, and they are useful. But there are things that I just wish it was more transparent and we had more control over. Even silly things, right? We know that thumbnail A/B testing is coming, but even that, from what I've seen, the people that are piloting it, it's not as good as I thought it would be. It looks like you can't really see the data itself. YouTube will make a decision for you.
Just what I was going to say. It looks like at the end of the day, they say, right, give us your 3. Right, that's the one that we can see is doing the best. And you don't see.
Exactly. And the decision is made based on AVD, which is fair enough, right? And ultimately, that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But there will be cases where a thumbnail was doing maybe 2% worse than the other one. So you'd get more views. Perhaps not as good AVD, but maybe only 2% lower AVD. I'd still want more views as a creator, or at least absolutely. I'd like to make that decision myself. That's what's annoying about that one.
Yeah, because if you get people watching your channel, they might just like you, let alone what the AVD is. They might just buy into you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a choice I like to make, right? So yes, A/B testing is great, and I've been begging for years now on this. I really wish we could, because yesterday's video, I changed the thumbnail 7 times now.
Yeah, I did that recently. Yeah.
and it's like, because I can see how it changes, but so you can either go completely like clickbaity and get people to click and then they don't watch because they feel like they've been misled, or go precise and people go, I don't want to watch another accessories video.
So presumably the way you'd like A/B to go is that you are allowed to put up the same video with 2 thumbs on, and you can monitor it yourself.
I can then monitor, say, right, which one is getting more clicks.
Yeah. And you could decide if you wanted to go for AVD or click through, whichever, or you would be, or just pure views. You could be in control.
Yeah, I think it's a thumb and title. I'm not sure if it's because those go together. I'm pretty sure you got to do both. But yeah, I'd like to make the choice, not let YouTube just decide that, okay, we'll choose the one that's getting people to watch for longer. It's not a bad thing ultimately, but I like to be given the choice, especially when it's close, like 49% versus 51%. I like to be the one to
when it's that close. Because it's your baby, isn't it? It's not theirs. You've invested time in it. You know what feeling, what vibe you want to have on it. It should be your shout. Yeah.
I had a couple of good experiences, though. I know we moan a lot in this section, right? I had a good experience where by mistake, I thought the Apple Watch Ultra 2 was going to be released on a certain day, maybe 2 days, 3 days after the iPhone, and it didn't. It was like the embargo never lifted almost. So I just thought there was no embargo, so maybe just there isn't one for the Apple Watch Ultra because it's such a small update, right? So I released a video and bang, 10 minutes later, Marquez and everybody else released their video. So I got really pissed off because I was like, I didn't realize it was that day. But that video is after the event is actually growing still and is doing well. But yeah, again, that's not a dig on Apple, but it's a positive thing that sometimes the videos that you think is going to tank because of things out of your control might end up doing well later on. So I always make the video with the intention that you're going to help somebody or you're going to add some value, right? Because later on you might pick up.
Yeah, I mean, I've if other creators are starting out and listening, I can absolutely attest to that none of my videos do well quickly. But even the Google ones, and I think one of my Google ones now is somewhere near 15 or 20,000 views. So it's doing pretty well. But that, again, early on, did nothing. But once you got it out there, if it's a good enough video, people will eternally be clicking. Because even this year, just because the Pixel 8's come out, people are still going to be wanting to buy the Pixel 7. It doesn't mean that video's old.
Exactly.
It's relevant for somebody.
Yeah, it's about building the library, right? So people can go and find it. And then when there's nothing going on, people will be recommended older videos of yours and, and watch that. So I think there's definitely a good sort of approach not to want those quick views because there can be something that, in my case anyway, when you get that hit of 100, I think I got 100k views in a day recently. It's like it's a buzz and you're forever
Brazil or
chasing
UK? Brazil or Manchester?
Yeah, that was the UK one on iPhone launch day.
Right.
Yeah, the title is "Don't Waste Your Money," and I did that. It's the third one that I've done, and it works. Yeah. So I could next year there'll probably be like 50 videos.
You've already got it made. You've got the thumb and title made for next year.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But and now that I've said this, everyone will do it the same. But
you actually said that to me a long time ago. You said that's always a good one. If you want one in the back pocket, add in a "Don't waste your money."
Yeah. I mean, but when you click on the video, it's not a complete waste of time, right? It's a buying guide, really. But if you call it a buying guide, and on Apple launch day, no one's going to watch that. So that's one case where I kind of, go a little bit closer to the clickbait.
I'm too polite. I still haven't. I need to grow a pair. I still need to get more clickbaity. I'm still a bit too nice in my titles, and it's not doing any harm.
Size, you've got to focus on searchability and and just intrigue people, cause them to hang on, what was he talking about here? And I say that, and I still sometimes. Yesterday was a good example where I started with a pretty aggressive one, and it's like people were clicking on it. You got good CTR, but they were immediately clicking off because they're like, okay, that's not what I clicked for. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you changed the thumb out 7 times.
Yeah.
And I did that. I think I did it on. I think it was my Apple video. I can't remember, but there's one, and I just wanted your take on it. That I like to be creative with thumbs, and I know you do too, given the time. I know you do. Do you think sometimes we get a bit too clever? I spent ages on one particular one, and I was really proud of it. As a piece of art and Photoshop work, it was basically I put an iPhone on a plinth, and I had 4 little me's around the room looking up at it.
I saw that,
Shit, did nothing. Changed it out, put something really simple, and I think just me holding the iPhone, suddenly I was getting views. And I thought, I've now got this rule of thumb in my head. Maybe I just need to be less arty and just keep it simple.
I've realized recently, especially in this busy time, that if your topic is hot, the thumbnail is becoming less important.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few people say that now. because YouTube is auto-playing your content. So the thumbnail is showing for a very brief, so depending on where you're watching it from, of course, right? But if you're on a mobile or you're browsing on a browser, people are not actually looking at the thumbnail anymore. They're just hovering over your video. And then if they see something they like in that hover, they'll click.
Yeah.
So I think there's less importance on that, but the title and all of that is still important.
Something we've actually never spoken about. How much importance do you put on description? The actual bit that people read under the video? Because some guys put next to nothing. Others write an essay.
Yeah.
Others are screeds of affiliate links. How much do you think that plays into the whole thing?
Yeah, it's an old habit. I put in a couple of paragraphs in there. If I'm really in a rush, I will copy the first 2 paragraphs from the video and put it there. But I like to put the keywords in it at the top. Obviously, if there's a sponsor, sometimes they request that you use the first. They said it before the fold, because when you're watching the video, you see the first couple of lines of the description right before you click on it and see more. So those sometimes you have to put a sponsor in there and say, buy whatever with this code. But I always put the keywords in there. I put the hashtags in there, at least 3 hashtags, because you're
limited to 3, aren't you?
No, you can put more, but the first 3 will be the ones that show
get
up.
seen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but you can put more. You can put as many as you want. You can't do there's a term for it. You can't put lots of tags that are irrelevant. Like on Instagram, on Instagram, you used to be able to do all sorts of tags that were popular, right? Just to get seen. On YouTube, you can't do that.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong. My experience is using tags a little bit more judiciously has helped. I used to fill up loads and loads of tags. Now I'm keeping the tags really relevant to what I've spoken about. And it's much cleaner, but it seems, I don't know whether it's helping the search.
They're making
I don't
it even
know.
harder to go and find the tags now, right? Because it used to be easier to just put them on the first page, and they used to also fill the tags even.
Yes,
which was really cool. That's gone. There's a few things that are going that I'm thinking, why is that going? Because, I thought it was important. Yeah, the tags, some videos, if you look at my videos, some videos I don't put anything. I just put my channel name in there and that's it. Might be, I don't know, sometimes it's better that the algorithm finds a video and pushes it. But sometimes, like the accessories one, maybe I should have used different tags on that one. Because
so
it's
on that, would you
hard and...
So would you begin to try and tag phone cases, iPad cases, whatever?
The brands that I mentioned,
Yeah.
Best cases for this, best accessories for the iPhone, whatever. But I didn't want to use that as a title either, because I thought, gosh, how many best accessories can you watch?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting what you just said though about there being less importance on thumbs now, because I've just thought in my head of some of the larger creators I've watched recently, particularly if I'm thinking about iPhone 15 videos, and the thumbs, pretty, but just clean. Nothing special. Most of the hand shots, very little time and effort's been put into them, but they do the job. And as you say, it's just resonate. If it's a hot topic, people don't need to see it. They know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Get me to the action. Get me to your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. And the first 10, 15 seconds of the video, use bold colors, bold letters, and, because those are the things that when you hover, is the first thing you see. And if you look at, people, obviously it's a horrendous comparison, right, to make that with ourselves, but Jimmy from Mr. Beast, that's what he does. The first 15 seconds is now basically his thumbnail. And you put a lot of gold, a lot of flashy things in there in those first 15 seconds, because that's what people are watching.
So, I think we covered all we needed to cover on this one. I think.
I'm sure there's way more to talk about.
Well,
I think
hopefully
it's good to be back.
It's good. It's good. I mean, Hartley jumped in luckily last week and filled in your boots for me. He's always a good to talk to.
We have a lost episode as well.
Yes,
we have a lost video episode.
I
found something.
Did you?
I found 2 angles, so we can now at least have a video.
Okay.
But I lost the main angle where we had both of us.
Luckily, I had because the way it was working when I was with you, I took the audio back on my Mac. I put the audio podcast up, and then you did the video one. That's the way it was working. Yeah. And so if people were wondering why there was no video to go with a couple of episodes back,
there's a lost episode that maybe we'll release as a Christmas special or something.
That I was going to say, could be our fortune, could be our way out of here. And it's the long nights coming now. People are going to want to watch more because there's nothing to do. So
Exactly.
maybe you did the right thing.
Yeah.
So you're getting back to editing a Brazil video?
I've got to record it and then edit. It's been 3 weekends now that I've worked, till 2, 3 a.m. I think one day 5 a.m. So I'm not sure I'll be pushing it too hard, but definitely be editing tonight.
The creative juices do run dry in the end. You can only go so far.
I'm feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure you are as well.
Yeah, I say mine time hasn't been quite as bad as yours. The other day jobs picked up, and that's, again, I know you've had that sort of interfered with things a little bit. But I think I've managed to there's still a nice little bit of growth going on for me on the channel, and I think I'm finding my way now, what people want from me, and that's what I'm sticking to, and so I'm delivering on that pattern. And
awesome.
on that, if you don't want to keep chopping and changing what you are, do you? You need to be you.
Yeah.
You need to find your voice.
Keep consistent, keep bumping content out, and
yeah.
People will come.
Yeah, so that is, let's say, I've just put up a nothing video, and hopefully everything will be a bit easier for you over the next couple of weeks. And Alex and I will be back with another -16. And I think what we're supposed to say is, well, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you're supposed to rate us and like us, because all that stuff helps us get found. So I know people are listening to this a lot. I can see the figures. It's doing well. People seem to like us chatting. So make sure if you can help us out at all, and do get in touch with us as well. If there's anything you want us to talk about in a couple of weeks' time, maybe you've ordered the Pixel, maybe by that time you've had the Pixel, and or you've got the iPhone 15, 15 Plus, whatever. Get in touch with us. We'd love to talk about what you want us to talk about as well. So don't be shy. Alex, I hope you managed to get to bed before 5.
Thank you. I'll try.
And we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time.